Hey guys, Burnt Plastic here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make your first ever beat on Logic Pro X. So when you first open Logic, this will be your screen. It looks a bit overwhelming, but I promise you, it's all good. It's absolutely fine. So you've got MIDI, your patterns. We're not going to worry about any of these three. Actually, forget I even said that. These three don't exist. Just this one, this green MIDI one. We're going to click this one. So when we're on this one, we're on Quick Sampler, and we're on the single sample one. So your initial screen will be default patch, so you will see this, right? We're going to click this instrument box here. From default patch, you're going to go down, quick sampler, single sample, mono. And then for this, we want one for hi-hats, one for snare, one for kick drum. So all we're going to do is change that number from 1 to 3, right? Done. Click enter, 3 there, right? So we'll label these. Hats, you can label these whatever you want. I just label them this anyway. Hats, clap, and kick. Cool. So that is your drums ready to go. I'm gonna grab a melody sample just for today's video. But if you want to write your own melody, go for it. Cool. So I'm gonna go for this sample here that I grabbed from Splice. If this ever comes up, you can import it because it'll just automatically change your BPM to the BPM that the sample's in. I don't like to do that just because it tends to fix it. I've had issues with it in the past, so I always click no. This sample here is in 150 BPM. So if your sample's, whatever sample your BPM is in, we're going to click up on this number here in the middle and change that from 151. Yours will be 120, but I'm going to change mine from 151 to 150. So play that, just make sure. Up here, if you click and drag, you create loop sections. You can make them super small, you can make them super big. Just loop this section for now because it'll make your life much easier. So we'll play the melody. And it works. Cool, that's all we need to know. Cool, so onto drums now. Just gonna grab hi-hats. So press X to open the mix window. And click this little green quick sampler here. And this will bring up this plugin here, which is the quick sampler. So we're gonna click on this button on the corner, the same one we did for the melody loop. And we'll just type in hat. I, for some reason, always go for this one. It just sounds simple, clean, no issues with it. I just started using it more often than not, and then just kind of never really stopped. I moved down to our clap. Oh, there's one specific clap that I absolutely love. I think it's this one. Yes, you can do it this way as well. So drag your sample straight from there. Here, then this drop box will open, quick sampler or quick sampler optimized. Go quick sampler original and let go, and then it pops up like that. Close it down, kick drum, and we'll drag our kick straight in, same way, done. So our drums are in our project, ready to go here. So the hi-hat's in the hi-hat section, the clap is in the clap section, the kick is in the kick section, and our melody's there, ready to go. Cool, so we're going to get into programming our drums actually into our project now and get some drums of the beat. So we're going to right click here and create MIDI region. And for the hi-hats here, I'm just going to make them super basic. We got, we're going to bring the velocity up from 80 there, just straight up to 127, which is the highest you can go. We're just going to add them in there. Highlight them all, just drag and click and drag, sorry. Hold option, click, drag the actual MIDIs over, drop them in, and then we're just going to bring the velocity down slightly to say 85-ish. So now when you listen to these hi-hats on their own, so the velocity on these red ones, the max they can be, and then the velocity on the green is slightly lower, so you've got a more human sort of sound to them. There's more of a how it would sound in real life on a hi-hat. You can make them all red, you can make them all blue, you can bring them straight down there or straight up there, it doesn't really matter. I prefer them sounding a little bit more human, especially the hi-hats, just so they don't sound as monotonous, because they can sound like a click track sometimes and it can drive me crazy. So having sort of a bit more fluidity, a little bit more movement in the hi-hats can make a huge difference to your beat, give it a lot more bounce. Next, we will actually, before we move on, we're going to click Command and R, which will repeat what we've just done over to this section. Highlight this section, Command J, and that will join everything together. And then we're going to Command R another 3 times. So now we've got our hi-hat loop against the melody loop there. Next with claps. Create MIDI region again, and we want the clap on the beat of the 3. I'm going to pop that there. We're also going to make that one high velocity. So now we've got, so you've got your section there. Again, Command R, highlight, Command J, Command R 3 times. Your loop is there. Click on the 1 and on the 2 there. So for this loop here, we've got super basic. That's how to start. You've got a start that you've got the beginnings of a beat. So you've got this section. You can double up on some hi-hats there if you just hold Command, click anywhere, mess with velocity, add some groove to it, and we'll just mess around here for a short section. So now I've come up with this little hi-hat loop here, just by messing about, adding some bits. I've had a couple of triplet rolls, higher up the piano roll, and further down the piano roll, and I've also changed the beat there as well. So we've got this all together. Same with the claps, probably keep the claps the same. You can double up on them if you wanted, maybe at the end of a bar. And then kick drums, we'll add some variety to these too. Now let's check the beat. Cool, so there you go. You've got your melody, your hi-hats, your clap, and your kick all programmed in and ready. Next we're going to go for 808s. So we're going to grab our command duplicate, which is Command D, and duplicate that section. For no real reason, you can duplicate anyone. It's just that's a quick sampler channel strip that I need, so I'll use that and rename that from kick to 808 just to avoid confusion later. Open up our sample library and find an 808. Cool, so I'm just going to use this Oracle 808 by Cymatics. So a little tip with 808s. Hear the little, there's almost like a kick sound there. To avoid clashing with the kick you've already got, if you just drag this little arrow button there slightly over and this pencil button slightly in, you just want to lose that initial click from the kick drum, because the kick from the 808 and the kick you've already got sampled in will clash and it'll sound awful. So you want to try and get rid of that initial beat from the 808 because that kick is going to fill that in. So if you make sure that the time the kick ends and the time the 808 starts is as close together as possible, you're onto a winner there. My 808 is in C, but I'm going to make sure, because some 808s are not in the key they say they are. So you're going to go onto your plugin channel there, which is the drop box directly below the quick sample. We're going to go to metering, find the tuner, which is at the bottom, and we're going to play an 808. So I'm hitting the C key, as you can see down there. That's the key I'm pressing, goes grey, and it's staying consistent on the C. Some 808s, I've downloaded them. The key of D you play in is in the key of G. Nightmare. Best to just double check, make sure they're tuned properly before you start getting frustrated because it doesn't sound right, because I've been there many times. This sample is also in E minor. The EM is for E minor. We're going to start by finding our 808 pattern. So I like to mute my drums for this and just listen by ear and find out what notes work well in the 808 pattern and the melody pattern. So I'm just going to be clicking and dragging, rearranging and moving around these 808 MIDI notes, and I'll see you when that's done. Cool, so my 808 pattern is now completed. Again, super basic. We've just got it all on the E note because that'll be completely in key with this. So every note that's played here will be in key with this. Not always the case, so be careful for that. Right now it is. I also rearranged some of the kick as well. So I noticed that there was a lot of kick drum. I didn't realize how much there was until I started messing around with the 808. Rule of thumb, make sure that your 808 comes in on the same time as your kick hits. So if you listen to this, take away the kick, take away the 808, together. You want them together. I am going to shrink this time down slightly. There we go. Cool. Oh, we're going to Command R that. And I will play all the drums together without the melody, and we'll do a quick levels mix. So press X, these meters here, you got your titles down there. You just want to make sure that everything's sort of balanced nicely. I like to do this as I'm going along rather than at the end. Some people like to do it right at the end. They just want to get straight into it and make whatever they want to make. I tend to make, edit, and sort of bounce back and forth like that. It just keeps everything in my head a bit easier. So let's just play these drums. Quick levels. Just make sure everything's sort of on the right track. I like to have everything sort of hovering around the -12 decibel range, just because when it comes to mastering beats, which is a whole different thing, it's good to have at least from -12 up of headroom, just to sort of maximize the amount you can do in the mastering field then. Otherwise you're a bit stuck. We won't worry about that now. We'll just keep it close to this at the moment. So yeah, cool. So far everything's done really. The meat and potatoes of this beat is done. You've got your melody, your hi-hats, your clap, your kick, your 808. You could begin the arrangement process from here. You can start editing, mixing, adding effects, adding more instruments. You can add percussion, you can add more bounce, change velocities around, change patterns around, mess around with this 808 pattern, add some different notes in. Maybe if you wanted to drag this 808 up to E4. Let's take a listen. And even extend the note a bit. There you go, already sounding slightly better and a little bit more advanced than it did before. So yeah, enjoy, have fun, mess about, edit, move around, and I'll see you in the next one.